Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Freki from Varg to talk about, I believe I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Zeichen, out September 18th on Napalm Records.
That was pronounced perfectly. Hello, everybody.
Thanks for taking the time to chit-chat with me about the new album. It's an absolute pleasure to have this chance of sitting down with you and asking you a bunch of questions about the new record.
Thank you very much for your time, too.
So let's get right into it. This album, when you guys decided that you were going to create this album, did you guys have a game plan? Okay, this is what we want this album to feel, to sound like, or was the creation of the songs kind of determined the outcome of this record?
Actually, that album Zeichen is going to be the pagan rebirth of the band Varg. You know, back in the days in 2005, the drummer, Fenrir and me, we founded the band as pagan metal band, and we changed our style a lot within the years and from album to album, and we were trying to find our path. And we're releasing Das Ende aller Lügen, which was our most successful album until now. We released also the most modern record, and it was a good record, but it simply didn't fit our feeling anymore. You know, and Fenrir and me, we sat down like 2 years ago and asked ourselves, what do we want to do from the deep of our heart, you know? And then we decided to go back to our very beginning and re-record the Voice Side album and release Voice Side 2, Voice Side 2 last year. And this was kind of going back the whole path you walked through in your career. And then you are ready to go from that starting point and walk a different path. And we decided to walk a more authentic Viking path. So what we are doing now is authentic Viking metal from our hearts. And this is what we want to do from now on. So the journey has ended, the experimental journey has ended. And now it's time to start the Viking journey for Varg.
I'll tell you one thing. As a listener, you guys hit the nail on the head, because when I was listening to the album, I was thinking to myself, I don't know what Vikings listened to back in the day, but if they were listening to music, it would sound just like this, because it has a Viking spirit in it.
Great to hear that. Thank you very much.
It makes you want to pillage. You know what I mean? It makes you want to raid it. It just had a lot of power and strength within the record. There's a lot of power and strength. How do you guys create an album like this from a creative process? Do you guys take time to attack each and every single song? Each one of you has a role. How does it work? How do you put an album like this together?
Actually, since 2 years, we have 2 new guitar players. It's Hati and Morkai, and both got involved in the songwriting process for Zeichen. And they did a really, really good job in creating great melodies that fit the Varg universe and also riffs. So, yeah, it was kind of easy to get the instrumentals because they did a lot of work, which I have done in the past too. But for this album, it's like one song is from me instrumentally, and for the rest, it's just adding some notes or some riffs. And so I had the total time to concentrate on the lyrical themes of the album. And yeah, it's a concept album about the Viking age and Viking way of life.
Yeah, I got that. I mean, I obviously don't speak the language, so I'm limited, but I could feel the essence of the record. While perhaps, and correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't feel like the album had the concept in terms of starting with one song, following one character across the whole album. But I felt like each song represented a moment in history and the folklore and mythology of Viking lore. So you could almost hear a piece of Viking history in each and every single song. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely, that's correct. It's like we start with the song 793, which is the year 793. The first year we've recorded appearance of Vikings in history books. This is the year when they raided Lindisfarne. And it was like, for me, this song is the start of the album and the start of the Viking age of Varg, you know. And from that point, every song has to do with Vikings, with their feelings, with their values, with their beliefs, with Northern mythology, and with things that happened or that could have happened in our minds, you know.
Did the album offer you, considering you have like two new guitar players, you guys took a little bit of a different approach creating the record. Did the album offer you guys new challenges that you hadn't faced in the past?
Actually not. Actually, it was like
That's a good thing.
it just went right from the hand, you know. It was very easy to write that album because from my side, for the lyrics, I had so many ideas and so much things I wanted to say, and also the new guitar players, they're like bleeding for Varg, you know. And it's like the next album is already written instrumentally, you know. It's just adding some more lyrics. So the pagan fire is back, and we can't wait to get this album out to the people.
Did you guys end up with more songs than the ones that made the record?
Once again, please.
Did you end up with more songs than the ones that actually made it to the album? Like, did you end up with extra songs that didn't make the cut? Or would you guys
we have
work
like
on
7 or 8 songs instrumentally written, and we have some acoustic versions of some songs of the album. For example, for Zeichen, Tirana, and I think Auf die Götter. But for full songs, every song made it to the album. So we just sat down and thought, okay, what will fit this album? What will make it complete? And it just felt complete like it was. So we stopped doing more songs and put them on the side and concentrated on the songs that are actually on the album now.
It's funny that you use the word complete, because I felt that the record has a very interesting dynamic. Each song talks about a different story, a different part of history, but the whole album is interconnected. So you guys were able to create an album that doesn't feel like a compilation of different songs, but at the same time, the songs are not necessarily moving from one to the other. So it's really interesting how you were able to create an album that feels like an album, but still has the individuality of each and every single song. Is that a tough process to merge those two worlds of creating individual songs that still make it feel like a full record?
So first of all, thank you very much. It means a lot to me. Well, how shall I say it? The album kind of wrote itself, you know. It wasn't like we had to plan to create a concept album, as it is not one story, as you already said. It's different stories, but they are all connected, and also kind of the melodies and the feeling of this whole album is connected from the beginning of the album with the acoustic guitars to the end of the album, with ending also with the acoustic guitars. It's just one big circle. You know, you can just listen it on repeat, and you won't recognize when this album stops, or you can use like endless time listening to the album. At least I did. So it was not like the plan to do a concept album, but somehow it is a concept album right now. It just made itself a concept album.
I think you guys did a wonderful job. It really, I felt that perhaps the atmosphere that you guys created is the glue that keeps all of these stories together. Because you could have stories that the sound on every track sounds different, but the atmosphere that you feel when you're listening to the album is the same across all the songs. And that to me was pure genius, and not something that's easy to do.
Thank you very much. I'm also very, very happy how it turned out.
Yeah, I think the album just sounds phenomenal top to bottom. And one of the reasons why it sounds so good, in my opinion, there's two main reasons. And one is the guitars, super melodic, super driven, a great sound. They sound very crisp, but they still have that meat on the bone. They're still heavy and grimy. And when you think of Vikings, you think of that sound, that robust, like marching into battle kind of sound. Are you happy with the final outcome of how these guitars sound on the record?
Yeah, absolutely. On the one hand, it's because of Morkai and Hati are like the two best guitar players I've ever seen. You know, I played the guitar on some of the Varg albums, but it's like I could never play as good as these two geniuses play. It's insane, you know. That's the one thing. And on the other hand, our producer and also our live sound engineer, it's the same person, it's Andre Hoffman. He is working with us since the very first album. And he's also my partner. I have a backline rental company, like renting guitar amps and guitar cabinets. So we always have a big time listening to all the guitar amps and trying to find the perfect amp for this album. And it was the first time when we decided to just go with one single amp and not mix it. And it's the Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier. It's kind of the English heavy metal sound. It's modern but raw, so it's like a Viking axe into your head. And I'm really, really happy with this guitar sound.
I'm happy you guys found that ability to provide that sound, because I felt that as well. I felt like the album had a very classic heavy metal sound to it, but with a Viking twist, like with a Viking grittiness to it, and that creates that overall atmosphere that I was talking about. That it allows you to create different songs, but still have that same sound approach on every single track. And the other element that I thought was phenomenal was the vocals, very dynamic. Different styles, different approaches. Like you guys threw everything in the kitchen sink. It's not like you went with one style in the first song and then keep the same approach across every single song, which is very common on these records. Did you want to create an album that had diversity as far as vocals were concerned?
Yeah, I'm always trying to also express what I want to say with the lyrics, with the kind of style I'm singing. Not only because most of the listeners won't understand it because it's German language, but I kind of need to feel the lyrics, and then the recordings like do themselves. And I don't know how I did it, but somehow the deep vocals I did, like the growls, for me, they sounded like different to any growls I have done before. I think I use a different technique right now. Although I can't explain what I changed doing the style, you know. But I fell in love with those growl vocals. So I added a lot of more growl vocals during the recording process than planned in the songwriting. And of course, the new band member, Filja, with the female vocals adds another diversity.
Phenomenal. I don't know where you guys found her, but kudos.
Thank you very much.
It blew me away. It blew me away. But before we talk about her, because I want to also talk about a couple of songs, I want to ask you, with that change, with that new approach that you had from your vocals, was there a song that created a specific challenge for you that was a little bit more difficult for you to nail exactly what you wanted out of your voice?
Well, actually, I think it was Auf die Götter in the beginning, because I did a lot of high screams and didn't do any growls. And it somehow missed to have the balls, you know. And then we started recording the deep growls for that song, and then it got the balls that it has now. So finally, I'm happy with all the songs. But that was kind of the song that I haven't been okay with for a long time, you know. Finally, it turned out very good in my.
Are you happy with it now? That's on the record.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my favorite record. Actually, Auf die Götter is absolutely not my favorite song. Not because it's not good, but because I have stronger feelings for other songs. Because most of the lyrics are connected to my personality. Although I live in the now age and not in the Viking age. It is like connected with stories in my head, like with stories of my life, you know. So Auf die Götter is more like the party song, you know. It's cool too. But if I have to choose like my favorite songs, it's never the party songs. It's more like the melodic or the dramatic songs that give you goosebumps or that make you angry or give you more, I don't know, power. And it's a party
energy, more energy. Yeah. I'm with you on that. I like a party song, specifically if you're listening to it live. I think it works better because you're having a beer, you're with your friends, you're watching the show. I think you can get more of the energy of that kind of song in that setting. But when you're listening to the album, you want something that has power in it, that has lots of energy. And those songs sometimes kind of take a little bit of the energy out of the album. It's like almost a song that allows you to kind of catch your breath, if you will, before you get into the more violent and aggressive stuff.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
And one of my favorite songs, I'm gonna say, I have a hard time picking a favorite because this album, there's no bad songs. You can go and pick any song on the album. The album is really strong, top to bottom. But if I have to pick one, if you've said to me, Pedro, you're gonna be on a desert island and you can only listen to one song from this album, what song would it be? It would be Farah Til, how you pronounce it?
Para til Rana.
All right,
Actually,
you did it.
it's not even German, it's Old Norse language, you know.
I can barely speak English, so.
Okay. Yeah,
That
but
is
it's cool that you say
absolutely
it's your favorite song for listening to it on an island, because it's about the ocean and it's about the goddess of the sea, Rana. I don't know. Shall I just explain what the song is about?
Well, it's funny that you say this because when I listen to the album, obviously I don't speak the language, right? But the image that I took from the album, and I mentioned this on my album review because this was one of my favorite tracks, I felt that you guys used the female vocals on this track perfectly, almost like a siren. You know, like
Yeah.
even though I didn't understand any word whatsoever, when I left the song, I was like, oh, this song feels like they're talking about the ocean. And the female vocals felt to me like the siren in the ocean, like calling the sailors and that kind of stuff. So was I right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like explained perfect. It's Ran, the goddess of the sea, and she's like a siren singing, and the seafarer and the Vikings are like longing, and they have craving in their hearts, and they are searching wisdom and freedom out on the sea. And those that drown in the sea, to drown at sea in Old Norse language is called Fara til Rana, which translated in words means drive to Rana, which means when they drown, they go to the bottom of the sea, and there this goddess Ran awaits them. But it's not like she's the devil of the sea. She's like not a bad person. She welcomes those sailors or those Vikings that drown at the sea at her very big table, and she offers them wisdom, and she's treating them really good. So they are like dead, but it's not they are in hell. They are at another place, not a better or a badder place. It's just another place, and they receive wisdom there.
I think you guys capture, for somebody who doesn't speak the language, I felt like you guys captured that essence because I felt that essence listening to it. And the female vocals on that track are absolutely phenomenal. The humming on that track is just like, it really feels like I'm in a boat and I'm listening on a ship and I'm listening to a siren calling for me. Beautiful, like outstanding atmosphere that you guys created with that track. You painted a picture with music.
Thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. It's one of the most outstanding tracks on the album because it's really the track, in my opinion, that really becomes vivid. The lyrics, everything comes to life. Even if you don't understand it, you could feel the energy, you could feel what you guys are talking about. And that to me is very powerful.
Thank you very much. It means a lot to me.
Outside of this song, what is one of your favorite tracks? Because I know this is one of your favorites as well. But outside of this one, what's one of your favorite tracks on the album?
Well, let's say my other favorite tracks are the title tracks Zeichen, and the longest track on the album, Verräter, which is like the traitor song. And I also really like the opener, 793, because it has a lot of energy and it's just like a Viking axe straight to your head.
That opening track, I felt that had a lot of the elements that you're going to get throughout the rest of the record. It works well because obviously that's when the Age of Vikings started, but it also works well musically because you guys included a lot of things that you're going to get throughout the rest of the album on that opening track.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. You guys did a wonderful
job.
Thank you
so much.
What plans do you guys have now? Like the album comes out September 18th, just around the corner. And now, as you know, like the world is at a standstill with no festivals, no touring, nothing is happening. What are you guys thinking of doing in order to promote the album and make sure everybody knows that Varg has a new album out on September 18th?
Well, first of all, thank you for getting this album out to the crowds that are like your fans. Um, you're right that it's kind of hard to do a lot of concerts. At least we try to make most of our upcoming tour concerts happen in Germany. It's not that easy, and it's totally different depending on the place where you do the concert in Germany, because it's not like you have the same rules in every city. It's like total different rules depending on where you are. So actually, we played a live concert like 7 weeks ago, and it was planned to be an indoor show, and it got forbidden. And they said, okay, you can do it if you have like a really big place open air. And the promoter said, okay, I'll do it. And it's like just for a single Varg headlining show, they built up a really great open air stage and like a whole festival area that could fit like 2,000 people, and tickets needed to be limited to 500 tickets. Also, there was a lot of place, and people had to wear masks and stuff. But it was kind of a really great atmosphere to finally hit the stage again in these times. And the people are like lurking for live music, and I think in those hard times it's really important as an artist that you don't only think of how can I promote my album the best. Of course, it would be better to release this album like mid of next year and doing the whole tour and doing a European tour and everything. But I think these people need some new music now. And also I am lurching for new music. Every Friday I'm checking, okay, which new album is out? I need new music. And there were so many albums I was looking for, and they got postponed. And I thought, okay, why are they doing this and don't give the music to the people? Because the music won't disappear. The music is there, and if you release good music, it will be there next year too, when you can do more concerts. So at least this is my opinion for it. So I think if you release good music, it will find its way, and streaming and this online thing makes it more easier, in my opinion. There's a lot of people complaining about how things turned out and that people are streaming a lot. I see a really big chance if you release quality music. And I'm checking like every Friday, I'm checking for new artists. And if there wasn't that streaming, my musical horizon wouldn't be that big right now.
It'd be very limited.
I'm really happy about that.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I agree with you 100%. I think now, while people are at home, if there's a time where people need music, it's now. You need an escape, from the reality that we're living. You need something that allows us to travel to a different place, and music does that. And also, I think if you wait until next year to release the album, you're gonna have like every band releasing an album next year. So you can have an amazing album, but your album is gonna be sandwiched between, I don't know, Blind Guardian, Ice Earth, Sabaton, whatever. It's gonna be hard to find music next year, because there's going to be so much of it you don't even know what to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think releasing this year really hits two nails on the head. You give people new music, and at the same time you have a little bit more of the stage just for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I just can't wait to get this music out. This album is recorded since half a year, because working with a professional record company, it always takes its time. Like, yeah, if you want to release in September, we need the master like in March, and then you give it to them, and you're always asking yourself as a musician, what do they do with it for half a year or something? But of course, they are like preparing to do like the best possible release from a record company thinking. But as a musician, you have this album and you're totally satisfied, and you think, yeah, I want it out right now. And I'm really looking forward to the release of the album. And finally, next week, Friday, it's time. So
I was going to say, it's
out to the people.
Christmas for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Viking Christmas for us.
Yeah, Viking Christmas for sure. Viking Christmas. I have one more question for you. And then as you look at the release of this album, what are your goals and expectations? And the deepest part of your heart, what do you want this album to be or to do for you and for the band and for the fans?
For me, this album brought the pagan fire back to Varg. And it just gives me that much energy that I can't wait to go further this Viking path and to release new albums and to do more music videos. You know, I totally fell in love with this new style of Varg, which is also a big part of this new style is made by the new band member Philbia. She's really involved in this Viking area, and she also knows which clothes you wear and everything. And I think it's like a kind of a new Varg. It's a reborn version of Varg, and I really hope that people think this too. That people are on the same opinion. That this is kind of a new start of this band, like kind of a remake of a movie or something. It's the same characters, but it's different, you know. And
I hear you. It's with different packaging.
yeah, absolutely.
I think you guys hit the nail on the head. In her edition, it's tremendous. Her voice is just, she adds a lot. She brings a lot to the table. And when you're dealing with the Viking theme, having somebody like her, it allows you to go into different areas of the way you're telling the story in the song, because you know it just gives you a bigger range vocally in terms of what you can do, and that creates a much bigger atmosphere for the tracks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, totally agree.
You guys did a wonderful job. I want to thank you once again for taking the time today to chat with me about the new record. And it comes out September. I have to say this again because I want to make sure everybody goes pick up the album. Zeichen comes out September 18th on Napalm Records. Varg's latest album. Go pick it up. Don't illegally download that shit. Go buy it. Order the vinyl. Whatever it is, just get your hands on it. And then you can go pillage or do whatever it is that the music will drive you to do. For me, it made me want to break stuff up. It was it had a lot of energy built into the tracks.
Great to hear that. Thank you so much for your support and your time.
Totally no problem.
Means everything, you know.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time today to chat. All the best and best of luck on September 18th with the release.
Thank you.